Well, I am so sorry. I was trying to do this live, and for some reason today the internet does not want to cooperate with me. So I'm just going to jump on here and make a couple different videos about things to do with little golden book journals, and share them on my page, and hopefully everybody will get to see them that way. And then you can post questions or message me questions, or hopefully come to one of my classes and we can do this in person and talk in person, which is what I do prefer, instead of sitting in here talking to myself, because I have a brick wall in front of my desk in my craft room, and I'm basically just looking at that brick wall while I'm talking to you guys and doing this. So anyway, I started out talking about little golden book journals that you can make using 3 rings. Now this is the simplest way, it's the easiest way for a beginner, because you don't have to worry about building a spine or doing any of that stuff. But although I love these and they're fun and you can decorate the rings with all kinds of ribbons and dangles and stuff, I do like making the ones with the spine, and this is what I mean by the spine, because then you can sew in your signatures, and they don't, they're a little more stable. Of course, don't get me wrong, the 3 rings are stable, but sometimes if you pull one open trying to add something and then another one pops open, and it just it could go bad quick if you're not careful. So at least if it's in there with sewn in with the spine, it's less likely to pop apart on you. But with a 3 ring, you can take it apart, rearrange it. You can take it apart and add to it. You can take it apart and add paper to it. You can take it apart and take out the things that you don't want. Whereas with a spine, it's just kind of in there, and if you wanted it out, you'd have to rip it out. If you wanted to add something, you could just tie it in or make another pocket to put it in. So anyway, and that's another dolly I've got started. Anyway, this little Land of the Lost book, it is going to be a 3-ring junk journal. Now I'm going to show you with, let me see. I had a Peter Pan one laying here to do something with, and now I don't know where I put Peter. Hold on a second, let me find my Peter Pan, y'all. Here he is. Now with Peter Pan, I'm just going to show you how to take one apart. Peter Pan is going to be a bound little golden book. But what you want to do is, you can see back here under the gold foil, there's staples. And you want to take some sort of pick device, which I have this neat set of snap-on picks. There's 4 different picks that my husband got me. And in fact, I have a lot of snap-on and Ryobi and different tools. In fact, if you've ever seen me go to a class, my craft bag is a big old snap-on carry toolbox. So these things do come in handy. And if your husband buys tools off a tool truck, every single one of them have things that you can use for crafting. So hit him up. Anyway, you want to pick out the staples, which this is not my favorite tool for doing that, but I think my straight one is actually downstairs where I was pulling some stuff apart. And when I say downstairs, I mean in my basement. It used to be my husband's workshop, but now I am going to move my craft room down there, because if you could see this craft room, you would know I need a lot more space. Plus, I'm doing furniture. I mostly do furniture at my dad's, but I've got to have somewhere to store it besides crowding up the workshop to the point we can't even work because there's so much stuff in there. So, and I'm bad to start a project and another project and have 3 or 4 projects going at the same time. So I got to have room for that. And I'm also bad about not being able to sleep. And when you can't sleep, what's better than getting in your craft room and having a little creativity to tire out your mind, and then you can go to bed. Unfortunately, if I can't sleep on a work night and I get up and do stuff, a lot of times I end up saying, oh well, I got to go to work in 2 hours, I may as well take a shower and start the day. So that's and that sounds good if I could come home and go to bed at 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, but 2 teenagers, you can't really do that. Of course, at least they are big enough to feed themselves. Okay, I got all the staples out. Now, some people, when they're doing the spines, they cut, see the part here? They cut this off. Now, if you're making one with the 3 rings, you want to cut that off. But I like to keep it, and this is my handy little Fisker's knife, y'all. If you don't have one of these cool little knives, you're missing out. But anyway, I like to keep those and secure them with some Tyvek when I'm making the spine, and that gives me a little extra room for making, because when you cut this part off to make one with rings, you're going to lose just a little bit of your pages, which most books that doesn't really matter, because you can cut the edge off. See, I've cut the edge off these. You can cut the edge off and it doesn't really hurt the picture or the words. Plus you have this part over here that was actually in that part of the book, and you can usually just cut that off too. See, it's almost got a room for it on purpose. So you can just look at your pages and see which side you want to cut off. Now, if you're making one with a spine, you want to keep the pages together so that you can lay them in there and you have the right page in the right place. But if you're making them on rings, you can actually cut the pages apart, because you can put pages along wherever you want to. And I'm sorry if I'm being confusing talking about rings and spines and back and forth. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to lay the Land of the Lost to the side, and that, making that one with 3 rings, I'll make that another video. But for this one, and again, if you're watching the replay and you tried to watch my live, I'm so embarrassed and I apologize so much. I cannot believe the one day that the internet decides to act silly has to be today, but it is raining here and who knows. Okay, I've taken Peter Pan apart. We're going to put a spine on him. Now, this is my 2 signatures out of the Peter Pan book. If you don't know what a signature is, it is a gathering of pages. Almost all books ever have signatures because it makes it easier to sew them in. Now, sometimes you may buy like a composition book. It's only got 1 signature. But then when you buy other bigger books, they'll have 2 or 3 signatures. And then, of course, professionally mounted books like dictionaries and books you buy and stuff, they don't really have signatures. They have a gluing process, and they're made the new way. They're not made the way old bookmakers made books. So anyway, this is 1 signature, this is 2 signatures, and then I usually do a 3rd signature. And in my 3rd signature, I may just, put some fun papers and things where you can make notes. I may take one of these, which these are very handy. You can get these on Amazon, a whole bunch of them for not a lot of money. I may take one of these with this kind of paper or dotted paper, grid paper, whatever, and actually just make this a signature. I just sew it right in to the spine in the middle, just like I'll do these others. And then you can put, scrapbooking paper on the front. This is a 4-inch roll of double-sided tape, and I do that because I'll take a piece of scrapbook paper, I'll wrap it all the way around, and this can be my middle. Now, one thing, should you decide to use one of these, you do have to cut about a 1/4 inch. I usually do it a 1/2 inch to make sure, but you do have to cut some of it off because it is taller than the actual book. And I'm hoping y'all can see that little bit of hangover right there. Now, if that doesn't bother you, if it doesn't bother you to have one sticking out of the top, it's your journal. You do what you want to. You don't have to cut it. And if you put these in a 3 ring, and you can make a little out the top and a little out the bottom, it's totally up to you. However you want to do it. It's perfectly fine. I've even taken these before and double-sided taped them down to the back of the book. And if it's poking up out of the very back, it's not as obvious, and it doesn't get in the way as if it was poking up in the middle. Because if you've got this poking up in the back, it just really looks like you got something stuck in there, but it's attached. Or, like I said before, cut it off. Cut it off. It's just fine. And cutting them off is easy. Just measure where you want to cut it off. Figure out where you want to cut it off. Get you a metal ruler. You can use any kind of ruler you want to, but I'm telling you, metal works the best. And get you an X-Acto knife, whether it's one of these Fiskars or some other kind. And just take just take slow, steady strokes. And just keep taking them over and over until you get through. Don't try to press hard, and don't try to do it fast. If you have one of those paper chompers, you can just, chomp it off. Or you can even use a cutting board, a paper trimmer cutting board. If you want to, I can just tell you that cutting this many papers at one time will dull your blade right quick like. Now I keep a blade for paper trimming, and when that blade gets dull, I'll take it out and put it to the side over here in my little carrier, in my little storage box, and I'll write CB on it so that I know, okay, this blade is dull, and CB means I can cut cardboard and cut chipboard. So I just swap it out. If I'm doing a lot of cardboard and chipboard, I'll just lay it on here with the other one. That way I can, it's already dull. A dull blade will cut the cardboard, cut it just fine, okay? Because there's some papers, now cardstock does okay when your blade starts to get dull, but if you're trying to cut stained papers or fragile papers, vellum, stuff like that, you need a super, super sharp one of these to get through it no matter what. So there's that little tip for the day. I'm trying not to overwhelm everybody because I'm just kind of talking through, and if you know me, you know I have ADD really bad, and you know that my brain travels in 9 directions. So doing my best to stay focused for my peeps. Doing my best. Okay, we're gonna make the spine for this bad boy, and then I'll probably end the video there, and then maybe I'll start another one. I'm going to put this video on Facebook. I am also going to put this video on my YouTube channel, which is Hummingbird Lane. See if I can start building it up with some videos. Anyway, put these rings out of the way. I have got all my crafting tools in front of me, and if y'all could see this desk, oh, have mercy. Oh, have mercy. All right, to make your spine, you need some kind of thin chipboard or cardboard. Now let me tell you, you do not have to go out and spend a lot of money to make junk journals. You can spend as much money as you want. You can make them as fancy as you want. You can do whatever you want. But this chipboard is off the back of a composition book. When Zoe gets through with a composition book for school, or I finish one or whatever, I rip the cardboard off the chipboard off the back. And this is chipboard. I mean, this is the same thing that you will buy in a craft store. Of course, chipboard comes in different weights. Now, for little golden book journals, I like a good stiff chipboard, but I also like the thinner. If you're making your own journal from scratch, you can very easily just use regular old cardboard and cut it up however you want it. But it's a little thicker, and by the time you sew a spine on it and all, then you've got it thicker than your little golden book. See, in this one, this is almost perfect because it and the little golden book are almost the same size. And then when you sew your spine part on top, it's perfect. And even if you decide to sew through your spine so your stitches show on the outside, like, well, wherever Dolly went, the Dolly Parton book, I've got the stitches on the outside. It looks really cool. You just have to have your cardboard where you can sew through it. I think the girls took the other journals out to look at them. But anyway, so here we go. Now, your little golden book, it's rather helpful to go ahead and just learn that measurement right off the bat. So while you're working through, you know exactly what size your pages are. So your little golden book is actually going to bend. If I'm out of camera, y'all, I apologize. Actually going to bend right here. It's going to bend on here, and our spine piece is going to go in the middle. So what you're working with here as far as length of your book is 6 inches across, and then you've got 8 inches down. So my little golden book journals are usually 5 3/4. So I go 5 3/4 this way, and I go 7 3/4 this way. That way my pages fit just inside my book. Now you can use this as extra folding space, and you put your spine in between here, and as long as you're backing it up with Tyvek or something that's really going to hold these guys and keep them from getting weak, then you can do that. In fact, today I think we'll do that. And if we do that, then our pages are still 8 inches this way and that makes them 6.5 inches this way. So you can actually make your pages as big as 6 1/4. Now, most paper, when you fold it in half, it goes from 11 inches long to 5.5 inches, and that is the best way to do this. And then it is 8.5 by 11, yeah, and then it is 8.5 this way, so you're just going to cut, 3/4 of an inch off of every piece. So that lets you have a little more leeway with your paper. But either way works, because even if you go from here, you can still just fold your paper in half. Now, scrapbooking paper, if you use it as your cover piece for your signatures, it's 12 inches wide. So when you fold it in half, it's going to be 6 inches wide. And that still works. Still works with either one of these. It just may stick out a little. Now, if your paper sticks out a little, it's total preference. You can let it stick out. It just makes it look more like a junk journal. Or if you want it, you can cut it off even using your X-Acto knife and your metal ruler. Cut it off even like this. So, and I've been asked before why my ruler's been cut off at 9 inches. Because when I was looking for a metal ruler, all I could seem to find was an 18-inch one. Which I know you can find them in 12 inches and 6 inches. But I found an 18-inch Westcott. And it was, really good price. I only paid a couple bucks for it. I think I might have got it at Lowe's or Office Supply Store or something. So I was complaining about it being 18 inches and getting in the way. And my husband, God rest his soul, cut it off. You can see where he cut it off. So now I have two 9-inch ones. And this one is the one I use most of the time because it doesn't confuse me. It's 1 through 9. But, I can use the other one, 9 through 18. I just have to remember, pay attention to what my measurement is. But either one works and they're great. This way I've got one on my table and I've got one in my craft bag and they work out marvelous. So, first thing I'm going to do here is I am going to take my cutter, my paper trimmer, and this one is a Fiskars. I got it on Amazon. I think they're about 35 bucks because they're nice and big. They have an extension arm so you can measure all the way out to 15 inches. And then they go, all the way across here to 13 or 14 inches, I think. I can't quite remember. But anyway, I am going to cut off with my chipboard blade. I'm just going to cut off this part with the holes just to kind of get it out of my way. And you may have to actually run through a couple times to get it to go down in there, because these things are really only made for cutting, at most 4 pieces of paper if you want to stack them up. So they do make some heavier dutier Fiskars with like a big arm and a rotating that will cut like all kinds of cool stuff. So keep that in mind if you really want a fancy one. I'm dreaming and hoping that I can get one of those big fancy ones to keep in my craft room all the time, and then I carry this one when I go places. So anyway, I like to use an 1.5 inch piece of cardboard because that lets me have plenty of room to sew in 3 signatures. So for an 1.5 inch, I'm going to turn my straight edge, since I know this is straight. I'll turn it around here and I'm going to put it at the 1.5 inch mark. So you can see, I hope you can see. I need to move you so you can see. I have it on the 1.5 inch mark here. So I'm going to hold that down nice and firm. And I'm just going to run my blade through it a couple times here. Just back and forth, back and forth. And a lot of times when I'm making a bunch of journals like I am now, and I have a nice big piece like this, I'll go ahead and cut the whole thing down to an 1.5 inch. Basically so that I have pieces already cut and they're ready to go. But anyway, I'm going to lay that aside. Okay, now we know my book is 8 inches and I need my spine to line up with my book. So, pull this under here where you can see it. I'm going to put my spine here at the 8 inch mark. And I'm going to do the same thing. Actually, I'll have to stay up here. I'm going to do the same thing. Actually, let me pull this down and pull out my, almost messed up. Pull out my paper cutting blade here. And there is a little notch in here that lets you pull a blade out real easy and put one in. Okay, there we go. Now I'm just going to go back and forth here a couple times. And now I have an 8 by 1.5 inch piece of cardboard that I'm going to use as a spine. Now I already know that I'm going to need a second one to sew in with, but for right now, let's just work on this. Put my blade back so I don't lose it on the table. Okay. Now you want to lay this out just like this. And you just want to leave a gap for bending. It doesn't really have to be a big gap. It can be about 1/8 of an inch gap. A lot of times I will take a scrap piece of this and fold it in half. Somewhere I actually have a template that I used to use, but I've gotten pretty good at eyeballing. But anyway, and then I kind of have a measurement for my gap. That's a little wide for that. Really just want about 1/8 of an inch. Let's try it this way. Since this is kind of thick. You just really want enough room for it to be where it can close good. Okay, and I'm just guessing there. But now what I'm going to do, and I think I am going to try to make this one where it folds up like this. Sometimes it will kind of roll and make your back of your book a little bit round, but that's okay too. I mean, it's a junk journal. It's not supposed to be perfect. Okay. So I'm going to flip these over. I'm going to flip these over because we're going to put that tape on the outside first. And I'm just going to line it up with a little gap. I'm eyeballing. You can measure. I am not a measuring girl. If you know me or you've ever took one of my classes, I am not a measuring girl. In fact, y'all can see what my homemade cutting board made out of Dollar Tree cutting boards. And they're 6x8. They're very handy. I've got 6 of them glued to my desk, but you can see the mess I make out of it. So me using that for measuring is probably useless. But I did see the other day where a craft store in Knoxville, one of my favorite places in the world, is selling 6x8 cutting boards. They look just like these, but they're a little more expensive. But they also have the measurements in yellow, and so you can see better. They're a little nicer. But if y'all have never been to Scrapping in the City in Knoxville and you love paper crafting and stuff, oh mercy, you gotta go. Okay. Some of y'all watching might have been, and you can agree with me or not, but Sarah and her crew, they're fabulous. Sarah Henderson, she's been there since 2011 or 2012, I'm not sure, but I've been going there since 2012, I think. So I love them. I love their classes. I love their stuff. So you can see I got it laid out here. I got my lines like I want them. Whoops, sorry, bumped the camera with my head. Now at this point, you can use duct tape. You can use packing tape. You can use publisher's tape. You can use whatever that tape is that has like the strings. You just want a good strong tape. My favorite go-to is duct tape. Unfortunately, I am out of duct tape, so I need to make a trip to the store for that. But anyway, today I'm going to be using packing tape, and it will work, and it will work pretty good. So I'm going to go just about 1/4 of an inch, maybe closer to a half, past my golden book paper there, and I want to smooth it down. You always want to burnish and bray smooth when it comes to tape, when it comes to folding. Believe it or not, it may sound silly, but if you don't rub the tape down good, it just does not ever adhere as well, especially if it gets a wrinkle. If it gets a wrinkle and you adhere it good even with the wrinkle, it ain't going nowhere. Alright, and I'm going to pull one more piece of tape. This one's a little long, but I'm going to put it on this other side about 1/2 an inch from my gold trim, and as you can see, it's overlapping on my spine. That's another reason for the 1.5 inches, because most of my tape is 2 inches wide. So I'm going to burnish it here. I'm going to make sure it sticks good. Make sure it sticks all the way down. Okay. Now I'm going to flip it over. And yeah, it picked up a little paint, but it'll be okay because we'll cover all this up. I'm going to pull this down nice and tight. I try not to get it to wrinkle, but sometimes it does. But like I said, I hope y'all can see, sorry. Like I said, burnish, burnish, burnish. And I have to tell you, this little yellow scraper thing is awesome. Comes in handy for texture paint, for this stuff. Harbor Freight, you get like 3 of them for a couple of bucks. So they're great. Different sizes. So now I'm going to pull this one down. I tell you, I'm all about cheap junk journaling and crafting supplies as long as they work. I'm also all about my nice ones that I have too. I mean, I've got some nice stuff. I loaned somebody a pair of scissors at my last class. They didn't have sharp enough scissors with them, so I loaned them mine, And somebody else looked around and said, oh, that's those scissors I saw you pay $50 for at Scrapping in the City. The lady dropped them. So, but a good pair of scissors now, especially you seamstresses out there, you know, a good pair of scissors is a good pair of scissors. So now you just want to bend it. What you have to do is you have to train it. Right now you're training the tape and the cardboard to do what you want it to do. You have to do this with paper as well. So you just want to carefully fold it in both directions. And now since I'm going to use this like this, I'm going to keep this straight. I'm not going to fold this part anymore. I'm going to try not to fold it anymore at all because I want my journal to look like this. Now, I know y'all are looking at this going, oh my Lord, that's ugly. Why in the world would you want to do that? Well, because I will cover this. I will either cover it with some paper or I will cover it with some material. If I were going to sew through my spine where you could see it, I would put something pretty over my spine right now. Here we go. They brought it back. You can see on this dolly journal, see I sewed all the way through so you could see the stitching so that I could put buttons and goodies and just kind of make it look different. So I put a nice pretty piece of Tyvek. It actually turned out to match the book and look pretty well. And that particular piece of Tyvek come off of a horse feed bag. Because horse food and dog food bags are made with Tyvek. It's a pretty cheap way for your junk journaling. You just grab a bag every now and then and hold on to it and use it up. And then at our house, we have plenty of horse and dog food bags. So, and it just happened to match, and I did that. But now, had I not had that, I could have went ahead and covered with material. If I had some sort of Peter Pan or fairy material, I would love to put it there, but I don't really have anything like that. So what I'm going to do is finish building, just like I have finished building Miss Betty White, but I will be covering her with some material. I'm thinking about using cats and dogs in my Betty White journal because we all know she was like the world's greatest animal lover. So anyway, so now we have taped the outside. Our outside is all taped up. It's nice and ready to go. We've trained our folds. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put a piece of Tyvek on the inside of this one. And anything that you put here on the inside is probably going to get covered. And if you get to the end of your journal and you haven't covered it good, well, that's what washi tape and lace trim and all that fun stuff's for. You can just slide it in there and cover it up. So I'm going to get a piece of Tyvek here off of my handy dandy Eco Stages horse food. This is what Zoe's jumping horse ate when we had her, and I've got a couple of her bags here, so I'm still using them. I think Sailor, her ranch horse, I like to call him Fat Boy, I think he eats something different, and a lot of his diet is natural grazing and hay since it's summertime. But now he's a beautiful boy. He's just a big old boy. Anyway, you cut your Tyvek. It doesn't matter if it goes over a little or if you cut it right to it. Now I like to cut, I usually cut my Tyvek a little longer and I wrap it around so that I have that little bit of extra. In fact, I'm going to cut another piece because I do like to have some to wrap around to strengthen that top part. Your spine is the most worked thing. Your gets the most stress and is the most worked of your whole junk journal. So you want it to be good and strong. Now you can also get Tyvek on airmail envelopes and overnights and stuff. But please, I am not condoning this. Please don't go to the post office and steal the free ones. Please don't. That's actually somebody told me that was actually a federal crime. I don't know if it is or not, but I do know that we get enough things overnighted and such in my office that all I have to do is, you know, empty it out and do what I need to do with it and then just save the envelope. Or like I said, dog food bags. A friend of mine once told me that we should all be saving our dog food and our horse food bags in case there's a flood or in case we need to barricade. He was a little paranoid. in case we need to barricade, because they are made out of Tyvek and they will hold sand better. Now, if you feel like you need sandbags, there you go. That's my prepper tip for the day. Not poking fun. I have a sister who is a huge prepper, so I get it. Anyway, I'm just evening these up because I like for them to look even when somebody looks in the journal. And they're just a little bit wider, just a little bit wider. They just go out far enough to cover over this and help make this bend stronger. But all this is doing is helping hold it stronger, so when you sew it together, you know, it's together. So for this spine piece, I am actually going to use double-sided tape. Now, this red line tape I have here, you can get it at the craft store. That's what it's called, red line tape. You can order it on Amazon. It is actually a book binding tape that I think comes out of Japan. And, you know, in Japan, they still do a lot of hand-bound books. In fact, that's where a lot of these techniques that we as junk journalers use, where they come from. I can tell you the best ink pens you'll ever get in your whole entire life come out of Japan. The Foodie Balls and Tombos, and those are fabulous artist pens. And I am just going to cover this back here with this red line tape, because I know this stuff is super strong, especially when working with paper and cardboard and all the things we love. Now, I don't know that it would glue any kind of wood to anything, but I know it'll glue metal to metal, but you can't count on it to hold, because it is bookbinding tape, like I said. I have used it before to make notepads and things, and I've never had anybody tell me that their notepad came apart. So, and I know from the ones I carry in my own purse that I've made, it works. It is a little tough to cut, but that's probably a good thing. So, and I'm covering it up really, really well. I want it covered really well because I want it to stick to it so that it can withstand opening and closing. Because hopefully when somebody gets a journal, they'll use it and use it and use it and fill it up, and then they'll come get another one, or they'll make another one. That's what got me into selling them at Bushel and a Peck, and now at Happy Dashery, because I love to make them. But Lord knows one person does not need 100 journals. So anyway, I think I counted the other day, kind of at a guesstimate count, and I think I have actually made over 100 journals since 2019, I think, or September of 2018, whenever I started this. Looking back through my sales and different things, I think I have actually made 100. My favorite thing to do is make customs for people, customize it to their theme, to whomever they're giving it to. You know, get pictures of them and pictures of the things that they like, and just really, really customize it. And then they can take it from there and make it their own. So, see, I'm having a hard time pulling this up. Y'all know why? I did not burnish that tape down, and that's why I'm having a hard time getting it up. But I will put this on, and then we will burnish it within an inch of its life. And I'm just going to make it where it folds over, and then we're going to rub, rub, rub. You can burnish with your hands, but it's kind of better to get something where you can apply more pressure, more even pressure. But I will tell you, the two best crafting tools in the world are these, with their 10 little attachments. So, just going to burnish and rub and rub and burnish. And then we're going to flip him over. And we're going to put a nice piece of red line tape on this overhang here. I tell you what, the plastic backer on this is tough as a pine knot, no joke. It's not one of those tapes that you can just rip off. So, now this piece down here is a little bit longer, but I am going to cut this part right here off just because we don't need it. It's got holes in it. We don't want something weird to happen and all of a sudden it's showing through and we got Tyvek with holes in it. So I don't like to skimp too much on the parts that makes the book strong. I will do some strange junky things with with the insides, but I like for the outside to be good and strong. So rub this down good. I'm going to rub this one down good. Now for this one, I'm going to pick this piece off here. Well, I'm having a hard time, y'all. If I wasn't on video, this stuff would probably just rip right off. Or if I was actually using a good craft pick instead of my knife. Now I want to stick another piece right there just because I have that lip sticking out. Now you can do this or you can cut it the rest of the way off, whichever makes you the happiest. I'm just going to do this because I know the more, the stickier, the better. And this is a pair of my good paper scissors, not really made for cutting plastic, but I'm terrible about using the good scissors all the time. So I'm going to rub this guy really good. Now I'm going to pull him off. There we go. And here we go again. Well, it's probably a good thing that this is so hard to undo because it just means it's really good tape. All right, here we go. Now I'm going to go up here and I'm going to pull this guy off. And I better put another little piece right there on that part that's exposed like I did down here. I'm just going to put it right here so that I get all that good and covered. I'm going to push him down good, get him down in those cracks and get him to stick to that piece that he's halfway stuck on. And then let's just cut him off. And y'all, pro tip, keep your tools more organized than I do so that you can reach and get what you need instead of trying to use the same tool over and over for different stuff. Although I am bad about this. I get tickled. My friend Angie, we'll be in class together or something and she'll see me struggling with the wrong tool trying to do it anyway, and she'll hand me the right tool and then give me that Mama Angie stare. Love her. Okay, now we're just going to pull this up nice and tight. You want to go nice and tight and push it down. Try not to wrinkle, but if you do, it's okay. Take your burnish. Rub, rub, rub. Rub-a-dub-dub. Rub-dub-dub. You can also do this with these cool spatulas from the Dollar Tree. They used to be $1. They're probably $1.25 now. You can do the same thing with their handle. But the reason I have these is because they are great for scooping paint. They are great for when you're using hot glue, for smearing hot glue so that you don't burn your digits. I know you can buy those little finger covers. In fact, I have 2 or 3 different kinds of finger covers. I think these are the most popular ones that you can work with hot glue, but I have fat fingers and they're not comfortable. So, spatulas. Some people I've also seen burnish with their scissors when they don't have anything else, but you know, do your best to get something. I mean, you can have this guy, or you can get a brayer. You can take a brayer and, you know, you can bray. Anything you got to work, though. Like I said, your fingers will work. You just need to rub really hard. All right. So now we have our Tyvek on here. Nice and strong. Now you can cover this part right here with Tyvek as well. It won't hurt anything. It'll just make it stronger. Like I said, I'm probably going to cover it with some paper. But I might take a trip through my fabric scraps and see. I may have something that's, I don't know, tropical or Peter Pan-ish, or, you know, I never know what I have because I've got a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, and then of course you're going to train the tape and train the Tyvek to bend like you want it. So you're going to do the gentle bend thing again, like the bear from the Grizzly Adams show. Do the bend. And if you look inside here and any of this is getting a little poofy, because sometimes it will, you just don't have it taped down tight enough. But let me tell you, that's okay. It's okay, because when you sew it in and you get it all together, the poofy will be, you won't be able to see it. Now out here, see, I did not get my red line tape as far out as my Tyvek. So I will just take some art glitter glue, which is my favorite thing. Kylie Coy says, my fancy glue that I'm obsessed with. I am obsessed with it. Anything, paper, tape, anything like that, it will glue it down. And it dries really, really quick. That is when you get it to actually come out of the bottle. There we go. Coming out of the bottle. There we go. See, nice and smushed down. And I'm going to get this side where I missed it. Now this art glitter glue, a little goes a really, really, really long way. So, it's awesome stuff. You can't buy it, you have to go into a shop like Scrapping in the City to buy it in the wintertime, because they will not ship it when it's below 40 degrees. Now I know you can get on Amazon any time of year and buy art glitter glue, and they will ship it from anywhere to anywhere. But let me tell you something. If it gets on a truck and that truck stays below 40 degrees for any period of time, such as driving through the winter weather or whatever, and this glue freezes, when it thaws, it's a clumpy, goopy mess, and it won't work anymore. And it won't do you any good to call art glitter glue and say, hey, I ordered this on Amazon, it came, it's goopy. They'll tell you it shouldn't have been shipped this time of year. But Amazon will ship it. So you can risk it or not. But there are places you can buy this. You can buy this at Scrapping in the City in Knoxville. I'm sure there's some other places, but hopefully very, very soon I will be carrying it at the Happy Dashery and at Bushel and a Peck in Rockwood, so that people local around here can get this. I also have scrapbooking paper and embellishments in both those locations, because as hard as Walmart tries to do whatever, they do not have high quality or a really big selection of scrapbooking supplies and stuff like that. So if you live here in Roane County, there's two options for you to get some really high quality Echo Park paper, Cartabella paper, and the goodies that go with it. And I'm currently trying to expand to art glitter glue, and then I've got some other lines in sight that I want to have in the shop for people. I also do classes. Most of my classes are at the Happy Dashery, but like I said, I'm trying to remodel and redo my downstairs, and I may actually do some classes here at home in my downstairs. I've done some classes in Rockwood, but since Bushel and a Peck moved, we're not sure where we're going to be having classes, or if we're going to have classes or anything like that. But, you know, it's not far from Rockwood to Harriman to come to the Happy Dashery and take a class. We have a craft room there that at the moment it is very plain, but it works very well. And Kylie will let artisans use that just about any time they want to schedule it. So that's kind of cool. But anyway, this is all I'm going to do this time. I've shown you how to put a spine on a little golden book for a junk journal. I am going to do some more videos. In fact, while I've been doing this, I've been having such a good time sitting in here talking to myself that I'm just probably going to do a whole little series. Put them on my Facebook page, and I'm also going to put them on my YouTube page, Hummingbird Lane is the name of my YouTube page. Doesn't have a lot on it right now, but I'm hoping to start improving that, because I enjoy doing this, but I also enjoy sharing it with other people. I know that you're supposed to use your talents to honor the Lord and use your talents to reach out to people. So this is probably going to be my way to reach out to people, is by doing more of these videos. You know, I give credit for everything that I can do to my Lord and Savior. So anyway, y'all didn't know this was going to be crafting with Jesus, but you know, I love Jesus. I appreciate you coming and watching the video. Like I said, I'm going to do a series, so if you'll look for those and watch, we'll go through, we'll build this whole little golden book journal together. So grab one of your own, rewatch the video, make your own spined book here, and craft right along with me. Next time we'll be working on making the insides. Like I said, we'll make 3 signatures. I've got some Peter Pan themed scrapbook paper from Echo Park, I believe, that I'm going to be using for this junk journal. So y'all have a wonderful and blessed Sunday, and come back and see us. Thanks.